Patriots Cardinals 30-17. Arizona wins this game in Arizona. Top 5 graded Arizona Cardinals in this contest. Cornerback Garrett Williams is I believe this would be, say, 81.1 grade. I have it wrong on my sheet here. But, yeah, there we go. 81.1 overall grade. Safety Jalen Thompson, an 80.7. Running back James Conner, 79.3. Offensive tackle Paris Johnson Jr., 76.1. And the defensive tackle Darius Robinson with a 72.9. Kyler Murray in this one struggled a bit. 56.7 overall grade. On New England side of things, linebacker Christian Ellison, 84.6. Cornerback Christian Gonzalez with an 84.1. Wide receiver Kendrick Bourne, a 76.6. Edge rusher Anthony Jennings, a 76.3. Cornerback Jonathan Jones, 75.1. And then Drake May, a 73.1. Thanks to a monster second half. And I say that because my stat that told the story here, this game was within striking distance for the Patriots, especially for how they played in the second half. I saw that they were playing conservatively in the first half. I didn't realize how conservatively they were playing. In the first half, Drake May was 10 for 10 passing, all right? Great, right? Sounds good on the surface. His average depth of target was negative 0.5. Negative 0.5.
Screen merchant. It's terrible.
They still got 71 passing yards out of all of it. Negative 7% air yards. And in the second half, had a 12.2 average depth of target. So they went in the first half from a negative 0.5 average depth of target in the first half to a 12.2 in the second half. Fellas, can we get a little bit of balance here? Please. So that was stat that told the story because that play was so conservative in the first half.
Yeah.
That you're not even giving your guys a chance to win the game.
And
when you do something like that.
It's something like this where they're doing it because they are very much hamstrung by the pass protection, and you could feel it in the play calling, right? And May, I think, was sacked maybe 3 times in this game, I think it was, which doesn't sound that bad on the surface, but Patriots pass pro 45.6 in this game. And on their first, if you take out the last 2 drives when they scored touchdowns down big, their first 7 drives, they had a 34.6 pass blocking grade. At this point, I think it feels like Alex Van Pelt has just resigned to the fact that they are incapable of pass protecting. So they're going to call plays so Drake May doesn't get hurt, and at which point I go, well, just sit him down then. Because if you're going to come out and call plays like this, you don't. Remember I talked about even like Brian Callahan losing trust in Will Levis, essentially. Mm-hmm. This is Alex Van Pelt losing trust in the offensive line. I mean, we have enough proof. We're 14 games in now. We know this is the worst offensive line in football. But now he's calling plays like it's the worst offense. So when you talk about just throwing screens and negative average depth of targets and things like that, it's because we know we can't pass protect. And again,
they can't. And it's fair.
If we're afraid of getting Drake May hurt, we've seen enough. Drake May's the guy. We know. We've seen enough.
You say take him out.
You could. If you're that afraid and you're just not going to call plays,
right. I agree with you.
And draft status and draft order being what it is and all that stuff, but they're going to be in position to take a player that they want or need in this draft.
Loudly quitting, not quiet quitting, loudly quitting with this type of offensive
with this type of play calling. Yes, very much like Tennessee.
Yeah.
Last week against Jacksonville of all teams, going 9 runs in a screen to start. Same thing. We have now resigned to the fact that we can't pass protect. And we're out of here. Which, to me, that would just tell me, just take Drake May off the field.
Well, you can't. They're not going to do that. So instead, we're just going to keep getting.
What's the point of what Drake May gets better at throwing screens the next 3 weeks?
Yeah, but you can't bench him. You know you can't.
What do you mean you can't?
You can't.
Just tell him in the best.
No. It's not about telling him.
In the best interest.
It's not about telling him.
Sure, you can.
Because then they'd have to be public with it. And they'd have to be like, "Hey, we're not playing Drake because we think he might get hurt behind this offensive line, and we're going to stick Jacoby out there." Or Jacoby will give you the middle finger, 1. 2, the NFL is going to investigate that because they're going to think that you're actually tanking. So it's just not possible.
Okay. That's where we're at. Is that New England?
I understand the logic of where you're coming from.
They fully resigned themselves.
But we're going to see more of this.
Yeah.
More negative ADOT.
It's just we've just resigned. It's the
Which
same.
is why the Chargers are going to make the playoffs because they're playing the Patriots either next week or the week after.
Oh, jeez. Bosa and Mack and all that. Oh, boy.
Teeing off.
Or not. I mean, or just throwing screens all day. Yeah. But it's the same to me as Brian Callahan last week, where we're just resigned to, we know what our problems are.
No,
we'll work on it.
I do agree with you.
Sustained drives, 10 of 15 on third down. New England went 0 of 6. Cardinals had the ball for 34 minutes. They could pretty much just kind of walk their way to a win, even though Kyler wasn't great and they threw just a lot of, even most of the passes they threw to convert these third downs were like right at the sticks or working after the catch. It was one nice ball late to McBride, but the Cardinals kind of just sustained drives better than New England and got themselves a casual win. And then most impressive, I just really like the way over the last year that Paris Johnson's developed. And I know the Cardinals is going to be a lot of talk about the future. And let's be real, we kind of stuck a fork in them last week because they lose like every tiebreaker, but they're still 7-7, still a very successful season. And one thing we do know is that they have their franchise left tackle. 80.9 overall grade this season, 14th best, I should say, among all offensive tackles. Only allowed one pressure on 41 snaps in this game against a New England front that at times this year has been decent, especially rushing the passer if you get Keon White and things like that. But Paris Johnson, I think very soon we're going to be putting him in that one of the best tackles in the league category because he's sitting at 14th right now. And there's probably one more step to come next year, but really started coming on the second half of last year, and I really like just how consistently he's played this year. That's a franchise-level piece for them, and the Cardinals, that's a home run pick for them to get Johnson. Because you remember in that draft last year where it was, because they took Anderson, they traded out of the Will Anderson pick, They traded out of the Will Anderson pick.
Well, they moved out of the Will Anderson pick to 12, and then
they came back up to 6 to get Johnson. And the way Johnson's played, they look like geniuses for it.
I love the move when it was made, if nothing
terrific.
else, but for like GM chess and how he navigated that. Yeah. Picking up an extra first-round pick and getting the guy that you would have picked at, was it 3 or 2? Three. The guy that you would have picked at 3, except 3 spots later, and you get an extra first-round pick the next year?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
I mean, just brilliant. They've got a franchise left tackle, and he just quietly keeps showing it every week.
James Conner, my most impressive here in this game. James Conner's just having such a great year, and I feel like he's one of the more underrated offensive pieces in the NFL. 16 carries, 110 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns, 5 targets, 5 catches, 28 receiving yards, 77.8 overall grades, 81.0 rushing grade. The Cardinals win football games when they run the football. Kyler Murray is way too hot and cold this year for me to have a lot of faith in where this offense goes, with him being the sort of like more than the point guard, kind of like what you talked about with Jalen Hurts. When we're putting a lot on Kyler Murray's plate, I just get nervous. Has he had some really good games? Yeah, but it's been like 2, and then there have been 6 other games where I've gone, man, they put a lot on his plate, and he was a reason why they were not able to move the football the way that they needed to. So it's always sort of going to run through Kyler Murray. I understand that, but James Conner, the more they can lean on him, the better this offense is. And then my most disappointing is just Kyle Duggar. Just a tough day for a good defensive player. 50.7 overall grade in this one. He had 3 missed tackles, 7 targets, allowed 6 catches in coverage, 59 yards, and 3 first downs allowed. So it's just a tough day for Kyle Duggar, who was my most disappointing there.
Yeah, no, I mean, another day for the Patriots is really what it is, barreling towards, well, maybe a decision between a Travis Hunter or an offensive lineman. That's gonna be a fun debate, actually. If they end up with the 3rd pick and we think the first 2 are going quarterback, that's gonna be a fun one.
Hey, if you're a Patriots fan and you're listening to this and you want to see what drafts could look like if they go Travis Hunter, you want to see what drafts could look like when they go offensive tackle, PFF's mock draft simulator, we got you. We got like 300 prospects in the database right now. You can run all 7 rounds if you wanted to. So check it out. See what it looks like. Oh, this is what it would look like if they took Travis Hunter. Oh, this is what it would look like if they would take an offensive lineman. A lot of different realities, and they're very fun to explore. Thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure you like and subscribe the video. And if you don't have a PFF Plus subscription, you can get one to see all the premium stats that we talked about here on the show, plus the expert betting and fantasy advice over at subscribe.pff.com. The description is also right below, so if you are not a PFF Plus subscriber, you can become one today.